So welcome to the session today. This is the third webinar in a series of presentations. Today's presentation is going to be focusing on the event system that is available in the portal. This is for all staff who will be entering events in the system on the staff side. Do want to let you know that everything is going to be done in the training region. This is the URL to the training region, and if you want that URL, we can send that to you after the training. Please make sure that if you are at home or at work somewhere and you're playing in the system, make sure you are not in production and that you are in the training region if you're putting any kind of fictitious data in the system. So as far as what we're going to cover today, we're going to provide you an overview of the event system. We're going to show you how to enter events, including job fairs and recruitment events. And then we're also going to talk about workshops and how to enter those. We're also going to show you the availability to track participants in the system, because you're able to have the system auto-generate services based on what you choose when you enter the event in the system. We're also going to cover policies related to entering events, because we do have policies surrounding that, and anyone who is putting events in the system, we want you to make sure that you're following the policies surrounding it. I do want to let you know, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will be answering questions at the end of the session. And we also have a moderator on here, Bina Ramroop, and she will also be checking the chat and responding as we go. So what is the event system? Staff have the ability to post different events going on in their area. There's an events calendar where staff can review and add events throughout the state. And what you see on the screen, and I'm going to show you this when we get in the system, on the left-hand side, this is the left-hand navigation in the system. You have a schedules drop-down, and you'll see the option for the events calendar. On the right-hand side, you see the actual widget that is on your dashboard, and you have the ability just to click on events, and that will take you into the event system to be able to add events. And I'm going to show you how that's done in a minute. Now, from the job seeker and employer's perspective, they have widgets as well, and their widgets will show the current month's events, and they have a calendar. So if they register for an event, it will show up that they're registered on the calendar. They can select either one and be able to look at these events. Most are probably clicking on that current month's events. Now, what are some of the events that we may want to post? You have workshops and training opportunities that you want to post. We have job fairs, meetings, rapid response events, orientations, employer recruitment events, and then we have kind of a catch-all for any other events. Now, I do want to spell out, like, the job fair. If you're holding a job fair, meaning it's multiple employers that you're holding this for, that would be more of the job fair. If it's an employer recruitment event, maybe it's one employer with multiple job openings that you want to advertise in actually on-site event or something that you're holding. Now, as far as when you put these in the system, I want to make sure I cover this. Staff are to hide the event until it has been reviewed by the appropriate staff. So when you go to enter an event in the system, and I'm going to show you this in a minute, there's going to be an option that says hidden event, yes or no, and you're going to select yes to hide the event. Once it's approved by business services, then you will update it to no, meaning don't hide it anymore. Job seekers and employers can see it. Job fairs are reviewed by business services, and you're going to send an email to the business services team with the subject event to be reviewed. And then they will come back to you and let you know if it can be marked as yes. And in some instances, they may go or as no, and some of them may come back and mark it for you so that it will be visible. Workshops, on the other hand, are reviewed by the regional operations management team, and because those are generally held at the local level. So staff will email their manager for approval. So any of the career centers that are posting workshops, you'll need to make sure that you are going through your regional management, unless the regional manager is posting it, and then at that point they don't need to hide it. As far as any other staff who are wishing to utilize the event system, you will need to coordinate a process to ensure that quality information is being entered in the system, because we do not want to be advertising anything where there are errors or misspellings, etc., in the system. And of course, you would want to coordinate some of these large events with business services as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you into the training region, and I'm going to show you an example of entering a job fair in the system. And then I'm going to show you an example of entering a workshop, which the two look a little different. So this is my homepage. So I've already logged into the system. And right here, if I scroll down, you see this My Calendar. I can select events here, and it's going to take me to where I need to go. But you can also come over to the left-hand navigation, and if I scroll down, there is a schedules option, and I can select events calendar there. Either way, it's going to take you to the same place. So I'm just going to select events on my dashboard. Now, here is the filter criteria. If I wanted to view what's happening currently, I can put in specific criteria. Right now, I have mine defaulted to statewide, and I can just pull everything at one time. If I scroll down, I can see that it's defaulted to the month, but I can change it to a week or a day. But I like the month view so I can see everything that's happening in the system. But now I want to add an event. So I'm going to select this Add Event button. And this is where I'm going to start entering my information. Now you'll see at the very top of the page is kind of the path that you're going to follow. And we're going to start with the event information. So I'm going to first select what's the category. Am I entering a workshop, a job fair, etc.? In this instance, I'm going to say I'm going to enter a job fair. Now, what is my event title? This is going to be an actual spring job fair. And I have some of this kind of saved in my browser because I entered one earlier. But you could type in, and I might want to say WorkSource Georgia spring job fair. And then I'm going to come down, and here I can put in a description of my event. Now, one thing that you're able to do is you're able to save templates to the system. I have saved some templates, but if you want to enter a template for yourself, you can select Manage Save Text, and it will allow you to create a template. So for sake of time, I'm just going to choose one of the ones that I have, and I have this spring job fair. And I just select that link and I hit close, and it pulled all my information into the system right here under my description. Now I'm going to come down, and it's going to ask me to enter in information about my attendees. Is this for individuals and is this for employers? Well, since it's for a job fair, it would be both parties that I want to include in this. So I'm going to select the option here in the drop down. Now, I have the ability to limit it or make it unlimited. I would say for a job fair, you do not want to limit the amount of people who can sign up. So you're going to select unlimited class size, and I'm going to do the same thing for the employer. But that is up to you, whoever's organizing that event, that's up to your discretion on what you want to do in this field. I'm going to look over here. You can see there is an option for veterans only. So maybe you're holding a job fair for veterans and you only want this to be available to veterans for viewing. You can select that. Now, if a non-veteran shows up to the event, you do have to serve that person. You cannot turn them away. But as far as it being viewed in the system and being able to register, it will lock it to veterans. So I'm going to select next. And then I'm going to come down and select my schedule type. So is this a one-time event? Is this recurring? I'm going to select one time because this is a large job fair that I'm holding. And it's going to bring me to this display from field. This display from is what's the date of my event. And I know that sounds a little tricky because that display from title might throw you off a little bit, but it is the date that you're actually going to be holding the event. It will immediately display when you unhide the event. So it's not going to make the decision on what date it's going to show it in the system. If I was holding something that was recurring, both the display from and display until will show, and I'll show you that in a minute when we do a workshop. Now, in this instance, let me go ahead and put a date in there. And let's see, I'll just do the calendar picker. And I'm going to do the 27th. And I can choose a time, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm just going to leave it at that, but you can change that time if you want. If I come down to the calendar, this is what we were talking about earlier. If you are not a regional operations manager who's posting a workshop, or you are a local staff that's posting a job fair, that job fair has to be approved by business services before you unhide it. So you would select yes. In this instance, and for sake of training, I'm going to leave it at no, meaning it's going to be viewable to employers and job seekers as soon as I enter it. Now, this display to, I do need to select who can see it. I'm going to select individuals and employers because it's a job fair. And now I need to select my office. So I'm going to select my region from the dropdown. I'm going to select my career center. And then you have to hit that arrow button and it has to pull into this bottom box. Going to select next. And now I'm on the event location. So is this an on-site event, an off-site event? It could be an online event. When we get into virtual job fairs in another session, we'll talk about that as far as the job fair is concerned. But I'm going to select off-site event. Hit OK. And in this instance, I don't want to pull in a career center because this is off-site. So maybe I'm going to say it's at a particular fairgrounds. And this is a fairgrounds I've used, so my browser retained it. It put in the address, the city, the state, but you can enter that each individually. And then you're going to come down to this directions. You can put directions to your job fair in this box right here, and that will display to job seekers and employers. I'm going to select next. Now, this is the part that I want to make sure I'm clear on for staff, because this is where it gets a little confusing. Attendance tracking means that anyone who registers for this event, when I result it out as staff, it's going to auto write some services based on what I choose. And so this piece you need to choose kind of carefully. So this customer group right here, if you're going to do a job fair, I would say you're probably going to want to select self-service, because that means anyone can register for the event. If I choose Wagner-Pizer, it's going to restrict it to anyone who has a Wagner-Pizer application that's completed on file. And if I don't have a Wagner-Pizer application on file and I'm the job seeker and I try to register for your event, it's going to tell me I need to contact the moderator. And if I contact the moderator, if you're holding a large event, there's a likelihood you're going to get a lot of emails to do Wagner-Pizer applications to get them in the system. So you might want to just go with self-service, and then you can go back and try to add services as far as additional services after the job fair is over. So you're going to come down and it's going to give me the option for this orientation. And orientation is not considered an intensive service, so it doesn't start a participation. So it's a self-service, meaning you might want to check this if maybe you're giving a group of individuals that come into your job fair maybe a brief overview of how it's working and some pointers, some information about that job fair. Then you might want to select that orientation. And then you're going to come down and you're going to want to select this piece for employers, because that's going to write that service to any employer that registers and attends that event. And then I'm going to select next. And now, how do I want individuals to register, or am I going to require a registration? Likely you're going to want to do that so you can kind of keep an eye on who all's signing up for the event. It will help you with putting services on and us capturing all those attendees and services that we're conducting. So I'm going to say register online. And then because it's a job fair, I probably don't want to select to close it and just let it run up to the last minute. As far as staff instructions, you can put any kind of instructions that you want listed within the event. There's also some sample text if you wanted an idea of what to put in there, but that is up to you on what you want to provide. Then I'm going to come down, and here is the alert the moderator via email about new registrations. So if I'm the moderator, do I want an email about any new registrant that comes in the system? If I do, then I want to select yes. Now, I would recommend this reminder here, send reminder to event registrants. So I'll select yes, because people sign up for things and they forget that they even signed up for it. So if you do this reminder, they'll get an email. So you might want to set how many days in advance you want that reminder sent. So maybe I want to choose 4 days in advance and then a day in advance. Or you could do all days, but I wouldn't do overkill here. Maybe a couple of reminders. And then you're going to select next. This is the training region, so it may take a minute to turn over to the next page. Okay. Now, this is the moderator information. So remember I said earlier, if I set that registration to Wagner Pizer only, then individuals are going to get an email saying, or a message that's going to pop up, and it's going to tell them to contact the moderator, and it's going to put your information in here, or whoever you put on here as the moderator. You can change these fields. You would put a phone number in. I'm just going to choose a phone number here, and then your email address. Now, maybe I don't want this email to come up. So I might want, and it shouldn't be a personal email of staff, it should be a work email. So maybe I'm going to say jobfairs@worksourcega.org. And I will say this is not a real email. This is just for training. But if you are going to be doing a bunch of job fairs, you might want to have some sort of main mailbox that's created for that, especially if you start seeing a lot of emails getting generated. And I want to fix that because that just pulled in from the browser. Then I'm going to hit finish. And then here's my event. So this is what it looks like once it's complete. And, in the event, if it was hidden, you would email business services and give them that event ID and then let them know that it's an event that needs review and approval. But in this instance, I didn't set it to that. My event is not hidden. So now I have the opportunity to come down and I can actually download it to my Outlook calendar if I want to do that. I can manage any attendees that have registered, but at this point I just put it in, so there's likely not any attendees. And then I can register individuals, I can register employers, I can send promotional messages. Let's look at registering someone. So now let's say I got a notification from someone that said, I want to register for this event, or somebody was in the office and I registered them. I can do a search here and select the registration, but because I just want to get a list right now so I know who I can put on here, I'm just going to hit search. And it's thinking. Okay. Now I want to be sure that I'm clear that anyone that you're putting on as a registration is someone who has confirmed that they're interested in attending the event. This is different than sending out like a promotional message, which I'll show you in a minute. But let's say this individual said they were interested. I'm going to come down and I'm going to say register selected users. Okay, so that individual is registered, and you'll see it down here that she's registered. And right here, you see it says WP status P. That means she's a participant. Now, if this is open to everyone and it's not restricted to individuals with a Wagner-Peiser application who has a completed application on file, then I could check a bunch of people, register those individuals with no issue. But what you're going to want to pay attention to is that WP status, because if you look down here, here's kind of the status key. So anyone with RIC is a registered individual that has a completed application, but it's not a Wagner-Peiser application. So this person, it's not going to write any Wagner-Peiser services. It will only write self-service to this person's record when I result them out. Same with these other two. They are registered, but the application is complete, and or they are registered and the application is complete, but they don't have a participation date entered. And then down here, that means they have a completed Wagner-Peiser application and a participation date, meaning those with the P, it's going to write the Wagner-Peiser service if you want to go back in and add any more intensive services that are more staff assisted. So you want to pay attention to that, because at some point you may want to go back and do outreach to those individuals that attended your event to get the Wagner-Peiser application on and to get additional services and even referrals to jobs, because you can't refer them on a job order without that Wagner-Peiser application on file. Anyone who registers on the portal, it will automatically write a Wagner-Peiser app started in that programs tab, but it will show registered only. So it's not a completed application. So I'm going to go up and let's say maybe I want to register employers now. So I'm going to register some employers. And let's say I've spoke to a whole bunch of employers. They're interested. I could go in and enter their name, individual names, and or FEINs, and do a search and pull them up. But because this is the training region, I'm just going to hit search and act as though I've already done all that. And let's say I want to register all these people. So I'm going to select, I've spoken to all of these employers and they said, yeah, I'm interested. I want to be a part of this job fair. I'm going to register those users. And I will say, whenever you're doing that, just make sure that you're registering employers that we've vetted, because this will not stop you from not registering people that we haven't vetted. So make sure you made sure it's those that are enabled. And this is thinking. Taking a minute, but it is the training region. Production is going to go a little bit faster. Okay, maybe I should turn the music back on. This training region is dragging here a minute. I don't know. There it goes. Okay. So now it's registered all of my employers and my job seekers, and it's all in this one list. So you'll see employers right here. I can filter it by selecting the user type right here. I have to hit it a couple times and it will filter it again. There you go. So here's my individual and here's my employers. And if I come down, I can actually print. I can print a roster. And I can choose to print just individuals, just employers. I can print both on the same roster. I'd probably do them separately. I can even do a sign-in sheet if I wanted to do that. I'm just going to close that out. But it is, you may want to have that printed out when you do go to result out your event, which I'll show you in a minute. I do want to show you sending out promotional messages. So let's say you've created a flyer and now you want to send this out to everybody to let them know that this event's in the system. You can select send promotional message. And then I can select who I want to receive it. So in this instance, I'm going to select individual. Now it went ahead and put in who I most recently served if I wanted to add them in, but I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do a search myself. And let's say I did a mass search based on an area. I have all types of ways I can pull this list. But let's just say I've done a mass search and I hit search at the bottom. I didn't put anything in because I need a good return because this is the training region. Okay. So now let's say I want to send this invitation out to all these people. Okay. I'm going to hit that and I'm going to hit continue. And I have more pages. I could scroll through all the pages if I wanted to do that and add all these people on. But for sake of time, I'm just going to select that first page. And you can see all the selected recipients down here that this is going to go to. Now it's going to put in my information. I can change it if I want. I can select the method if I want it to be internal message, an email, a text. I can use whatever their preferred notification is. So you have a lot of options. I can even select to choose a red receipt that it will write to my message center. Come down, this is going to pull in my message, and this is what it's going to say. I could go in and edit this if I wanted, and then I can come down and I can add my signature or I can leave it as is. Here's where you might want to attach your flyer if you have a flyer you want to send out, and this is going to go to their message center and then whatever preferred method or email, or it might send them a text message with a notice to check their message center. So there's various options to kind of get their attention about this promotion. And then you're going to hit send. Okay, now it takes me to my message center. And if I go to my sent folder, here's all the messages I just sent. Okay. Now I want to go back to my dashboard because I actually want to show you another option in here about those events. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to look at the event that I just created. And I did it right here. There it is. So here's my event. Here's the QR code. So let's say I was having a flyer created. You could print that QR code and you can design a flyer or go through. We have a form that you can go through to create a flyer, and they'll put the QR code on the flyer. So that's another option. You also have this link here that you can share as well. Now, let's say the event is over and you've assisted these individuals. They've come in, you've tracked them, you know you need to manage those attendees. All the events have this manage attendees link. So if you select that manage attendees, here I have the opportunity to select the status. So if, let's say this person called and said, you know, I don't want to attend it. They've canceled. I can select that. At the end of the event, if they were a no-show, if they attended, when you select that attended, that means when you save it, it's going to write that self-service that we selected. But again, you're going to want to pay attention to the status for specifically for those job seekers, because you may want to follow back up and get them the Wagner Pizer application on file so that we can add some additional services in here. And you'll see the link right here to add other services if you wanted to do so. But if I selected attended, then I could come down and save. Now it's not going to let me do it because this event is not over yet, but I have this save option that I could actually save it and it will update that event. Let's see. The other thing I want to do is I want to show you how to enter a workshop. So I'm going to go to my events. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to select add event. And in this instance, it's a workshop. And I have, let's say I want to do a resume workshop. And I already have my template created. And my recommendation for the Wagner-Pizer staff, if you are creating these workshops, I suggest do the templates and you take everything out of the wig, and because we gave you the descriptions and the titles, and create these templates. And then all you have to do is select that and it will pull it in. And then this title was creating a winning resume workshop. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to select my attendees. Now, this is a workshop targeted to individuals, not employers. So I'm not going to make it available to an employer, but I am going to make it available to individuals. And because I'm going to hold this at the Career Center, I probably want to limit that class size. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my count. I'm only going to limit it to 25 people. Now I can allow overbook, but that is not going to waitlist those individuals. What it's going to do is it's just going to allow them to continue to come onto the roster. So you probably don't want to do that for the workshop. You can't even make it a veterans only workshop if you wanted to. So I'm going to select next. And I'm going to come down to my schedule. And in this instance, maybe this occurs weekly. So now you see that it will have my display from and display until. So let's say that this starts on the 28th and it's every Thursday. So maybe I want to run it all the way to May 30th. And my start time for this workshop is going to be maybe 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So it's an hour. And then I say it occurs every Thursday. And if I was a local staff, then yes, I would need to have it hidden if I'm not a regional manager and entering it. If you're the regional manager and entering it, you don't need to hide it. So in this instance, I'm going to leave it to unhidden. So it's a no. And I want it to display to individuals. I'm going to select next. And then where is my office? Okay, same as what we just did earlier. Now here, let's say, in this instance, it's an on-site event. So it's going to be at the Career Center. But let's say if it was off-site, then I can select the other area or the other location. Maybe it's an online event. Then it gives me the opportunity to enter the WebEx link or whatever software I'm using for the online for them to join. In this instance, I'm just going to say on site. It's at the Career Center, so it automatically pulled all my information in. I can select my directions here if I want to add directions, and then I'm going to select next. And then again, my services. So if I select Wagner-Pizer only, then that means only those with a Wagner-Pizer application are going to be able to register. If they are interested in the workshop, the system is going to give them a message to contact the moderator if they do not have the Wagner-Pizer application on file. So in this instance, this was a resume workshop, so I'm going to select that service. And it's going to auto write that to anyone who's registered for the event. And I don't need to select anything here because it's not for employers. And then do I want those individuals to register? And yes, in this instance, I do. And I may want that to end the day before so I can actually see what my count really looks like. And then any instructions I want to add, I can add that here. Here's where you can create a wait list. So let's say I'm overbooked, but now I have a couple of more people that have come in. I can create a wait list here. And then what's going to happen is anyone, let's say somebody cancels that originally had confirmed, then it will move that wait list into confirmed or registered. Now here I can select to contact event associated staff with the event when the event is full. I can alert the moderator when new registrations occur. And then again, I can send any reminders. So maybe you want to set it at 1 in 3 days. Hit next. And then here's my moderator information. And see, it pulls in my email address, but I could change it if I have a maybe general mailbox that I want it to go to. I'm going to hit finish. Oh, I forgot to put my phone number in. It's going to tell me. Hit finish. Okay, and now my event's been created. And then as you can see, I have the exact same options that I had for the job fair, and that functions exactly the same way. Now what I want to do is I'm actually going to sign out as staff because I want you to see kind of what it looks like from the job seeker's perspective and the employer's perspective. So in this instance, I'm going to sign in as a job seeker. Okay. So I'm in my account, I'm the job seeker, and you see earlier I talked about I have that calendar, and then I also have another widget that will show me right here, current month's events. So let's say I want to look at these events and I say more events, tell me what's going on. It defaults to my zip code, but I can display statewide. I can also reset the filters so it clears it out. I'm just going to hit statewide. Sometimes this training region doesn't always work the way I want it to. Okay. Now, if I come down, I see, I'm going to hit filter, see if it brings everything back that I want. Here it is right here. So here's my job fair. So I'm going to select this WorkSource GA Spring Job Fair. Here's what it looks like to the job seeker. And I can come down and I can register here. Or I can come up and maybe I'm not so sure if I want to attend this or not. So I'm going to view employers attending the job fair. And here's what it looks like. And all these employers could create booths, but we'll get into that when we talk about virtual job fairs, where they can create some more tailored things in the system. But I'm going to come down and maybe I want to know more about this company right here. So I can select that link of that company and I can show all the jobs. And here's the job right here. And so I could view that job and apply to that job. However, if the job is not set to self-refer, then to get that referral on there, it is going to require that WP application because that means staff would have to go in. Anytime staff have to enter the referral on the job order, it requires the WP application. So that's what it looks like to job seekers. Okay, I'm going to sign out. And I'm going to sign in as an employer. Okay, I'm in my employer account. I'm going to come down. I have the same thing. Here's my calendar. If I come down, I don't have that other widget, but usually that other widget will come up too, but I'm going to select events. And it brings me here. And I'm going to reset my filters. See, sometimes this training region does not want to take, wants to keep defaulting to this. Here we go. Now this shows I'm registered for this fair, but let's say I'm not registered for this one and I want to select this. I can come in and see it looks almost exactly like the job seekers, and then I can select register to register for it. So that's pretty much what it looks like. Now, what I want to do, a few more things I want to cover. I want to cover some of the reminders and the policies when it comes to the event system. So again, if the event is set for attendance tracking and is set to WP services, then only those with a WP application can sign up for the event. So you may want to select it to be open for all registered only people, self-service. If you are wishing to enter services at a later time, only those with a WP application will have services written to the record, with the exception of a few self-services. If there is workshop information being provided, the system will not write that service to the job seeker record without the WP application, because that workshop is more of an individualized career service. As a reminder, these are the policies that we have posted. WP 22-002R, that is participating in marketing, job fair, and recruitment events. We also have 23-11, which is the job search workshops. There's attachments in both of those guidance letters that will also give you a walkthrough step-by-step on entering the event. And it also outlines, at least for the job search workshop, it will give you the actual descriptions that you're to enter in if you're putting those workshops in, because you need to use the ones that we've provided. As far as policies for recruitment events, approval is required for any multi-employer event and single employer event with 20 or more openings. Staff will document or gather the information for the requester using the recruitment event request form. This form is for internal use only. You're going to forward that to business services for consideration, along with any suggestions or concerns about the event. And this is before you're putting that in the event system. As far as fees, if a sponsor is generating profit from an event, WorkSource Georgia funds cannot assist in coordinating the event, because WorkSource Georgia provides these services at no cost to job seekers and employers. However, if fees charged by the non-WorkSource Georgia sponsor solely offsets expenses related to an event that is also WorkSource Georgia funded and no profit is generated, it would be an acceptable use of funds. When adding the event, again, make sure you mark it as hidden yes until business services have reviewed it. Email business services at the email address on file with the subject event to be reviewed. After the event has been reviewed, update the event to hidden no, and then you'll add any attendees and send out any promotional messages. So if you have people that you already know you want to register for the event. Promote the event, you'll request a flyer to be created via the Cognito forms, and the URL is on the screen. It's also in the policy. And once you do that communications request form, you're going to want to make sure you print that QR code that was generated from the system and include that in your request so they can put it on the flyer. You'll advertise the postings to qualified job seekers through the system, as well as sending out those promotional messages to encourage individuals to register, and then encourage individuals to follow us on social media as you serve people in the career centers, because if they're following us on social media, then they will also see those events getting posted because we advertise them there as well. As far as tracking, you're going to want to use the event access pass to track individuals attending an in-person event. It's going to allow you to result that out when you want to determine who's attended, and you'll be able to add them to the list. If they weren't registered initially, you can go back in and add them. Make sure that you encourage job seekers who attend an event that were not registered to register on the portal. And then you're going to want to complete that event access pass at within 7 days. You'll want to take that and come back to the office and result that out. As far as resulting out your attendance, again, pay attention to the WP status. P is that participant, meaning you could add any additional services you wanted to the profile because they have the participation date and a Wagner Pizer application. That registered individual, it's only going to allow self-service. And then that Wagner Pizer C, they have a completed Wagner Pizer application, but they don't have a participation date. So all you're going to need to do is go in and add the participation date, and then you'll be able to add services. And then when you go to register, result out the registration status, you have registered, attended, canceled, and no-show. Now, there were some other ones you saw in there that were UI related. That's because we do have Georgia Department of Labor and their RESEA program that will be utilizing the event system for that program. And that's why you see those UI options. But for us, it would not apply. We would only utilize these. You're also going to want to provide an update regarding the number of participants that attended, as well as the number of vendors that showed up to the business services team. That will help them track all the great work that we're doing. And then again, for workshops, let's talk about the workshops. Mark it as a hidden event if you're not regional operations. If you are a regional manager, you do not need to do that. Review the WIG WP 23-11 and the attachment that went with it when adding the workshops, because that is where the titles and descriptions are outlined, and you are required to use those. Track the activity at the event using that access pass. If you're in the Career Center, you can also use the log. But whichever method you want to utilize, make sure that you're tracking them. And then after the event, you're going to want to result out that attendance. Now, one thing that you may want to do beforehand for those workshops is review who's registered. If you have it as open to anyone, then you're going to want to reach out to those individuals who do not have a Wagner Pizer application and complete one with them ahead of time. Or when they come in the office, go ahead and have the Wagner Pizer application printed, and then you can work with them to complete any missing fields on that application, and they can sign it. And then all you have to do is upload it and complete that application in the system and complete it. They could leave and you would have everything you need on that print off. And then you can result out the event. And again, review the status and then add any additional services. So the system, if you have it open to everyone, it's going to only add the Wagner Pizer or the self-service services. If you have it set as Wagner Pizer application, it will write anything you choose as far as the workshops or any other services you want to add. Now, that kind of concludes kind of the overview of how this works. Do you have any questions?
Rhonda, there were a couple of them on the chat. I answered them privately, but I'm going to put it back to you so you can answer them in the way that you would. Sally Badger was asking, remember that screen where you were selecting the employers to include in the event? She wanted to know if that screen you could see, or is it indicated anywhere that the employers were enabled and has job orders in the system?
It does. It says it on the screen, whether they're enabled or not. And majority of your cases, you're speaking with the employer. You're not doing what I did where you just pulled a whole list and checked all that. You're speaking to the employer. So I would hope that you're talking to that employer and saying, let's go in and make sure your account's up to date and we have the job orders in the system, and you're going to want to review all that before you start adding them as registered employers.
And Diane was asking if we can use the workshops for programs offered at the rapid response
Clarify.
events. Sorry?
So you mean actually entering the rapid response event and posting the rapid response event?
Diane,
Yes.
you want to go ahead?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can
Yes.
put the rapid response event in there. It has the option to enter that rapid response event if we want to do that.
Okay. But then they would still need to be, we'd have to, I got it. They would still have to be registered.
Correct.
Okay,
Rhonda,
thank you.
would it make sense to keep those rapid response events hidden so that we won't have people from the outside trying to attend?
Yes, you would. And you would want to coordinate all that with rapid response. Don't just enter events in without speaking to the rapid response coordinator. Any other questions?
Just a request. I lost my link to the training site. Can you post the link in chat for me, please?
Bina, can you post that for her?
It's on my DOL laptop.
Who is it
Okay,
speaking?
no trouble.
Simone?
Simone, yes.
Okay, all right. I'll certainly do that.
Thanks.
And it's also in all the videos that we have on that staff resources folder that you have access to. It is in there as well.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, Joel
Any
just
other
put it
questions?
on. Joel just put it on. Was that what you put on there, Joel?
Yep, he's got it.
He
Thank
did.
you, Joelle.
Okay. Thank you, Joel.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, that concludes the training. I hope you have a good rest of the day. And if you think of anything, feel free to email us at the policy email address that's on the screen. All right,
Thank you,
thank
guys.
you.